Excuse me, Mr. Haas, sir?
Yes, son. Is this about making American racing great again?
Not as such. Sergio Perez is outside, sir. He just wanted to congratulate you on another successful test.
Sergio Perez? Where is he from?
Force India, sir.
No, where is he from?
He's from Mexico, sir.
Build a wall. A great, great wall.
Hello, welcome to Gareth Jones on Speed. He's Zog.
Hello.
He's Richard.
Hello.
I'm Gareth, and we've previously billed this show as the podcast for petrol heads. But that's not really true, because we like all sorts of cars, really, and we're quite interested in electric cars, all three of us, for different reasons. I've driven a stack of electric cars now, the most recent one of which being the Tesla Model S, which was quite something. Zog, you've always advocated the electric car as being the original idea for the car, haven't you?
It's a matter of historical record that some of the first cars were electric powered.
Yeah.
There were steam powered cars as well, but in the early days of motoring, electric cars were some of the best.
The land speed record was first held by an electric car, wasn't it?
Yeah, and of course one of Porsche's early designs was an electric car and a hybrid electric car. So there's a lot of coming full circle with a lot of the cars that some contemporary manufacturers are offering. But yeah, electric motors are just better than internal combustion engines. There's no competition. They're more efficient.
I'm
they're
certainly
simpler.
happy I have one in my toothbrush.
Yes, and not a very tiny little baby B 049 motor.
Huge two-stroke.
Yeah.
But Richard, you're interested in electric cars at the moment because you're genuinely thinking of buying one, aren't you?
I'm really close to... I've just got an inexplicable craving for one. It just feels like the time to do it, and I'll tell you why. First of all, because I find them interesting, or I find the best of them interesting.
Yep.
But also, you know in the last show I said that in California you could lease a Fiat 500e, the electric 500 that is only sold there, for as little as $69 a month, seemingly, which a friend of mine is genuinely doing out there at the moment.
Hang on.
incredible.
Since the whole Euro referendum thing came up, that means $69. That's about 700 quid, isn't it? The way the exchange rate's going.
Good for you.
When I checked, genuinely, it's about 45, 50 quid. It's
Well,
a month for a
And
whole
unfortunately,
actual
because
car.
when you said that, as soon as we'd finished recording the show, I had a quick check to see if you could lease a 500e in the UK. As far as I can see, you can't.
No, that's the thing.
But,
They only sell it in California, and I think it's Oregon as well. And that's it, to try and meet some corporate obligations. But they've engineered the car, so why not sell it in Europe? Because I think it's the kind of thing that would actually sort of kickstart electric car interest, because it's a Fiat 500, cool-looking, interesting car that people actually want, but it's a very urban car. Why not just
I'm
get
not
an
sure
electric
that they
one?
have to do much to kickstart electric cars, just other than we just need to be offered the right kind of vehicles and have the right kind of infrastructure.
It's down to two things. It's down to a useful range. There are electric cars with good range at the moment. There's only one electric car on sale, as far as I know, that has a properly useful range where you don't even have to think about it, the Tesla.
Although a caveat to that is that, and critics of electric cars, the range issue is always the main criticism. Most of the time, we don't use the full range of our cars.
Exactly.
I mean, you know, almost all the journeys that I take are under 15 miles.
Yeah. Well, so this is why I've become interested. There's a number of reasons I've become interested in electric cars and have this sudden craving for one, as I think it's the right time to do it. And one of them being the way that we use at least one of our cars. Because we have this Merc
As in the way
GLA.
that you as a family do.
Yeah.
Hey,
My wife
you're
commutes
making-
across London in it.
Richard, you're making a lifestyle choice.
Well, I don't want it to be a lifestyle choice in as much as I don't want it to change my lifestyle. You know when you see that thing on the front of books or on film posters and says, "This changed my life," I always think, well, how inconvenient. I like my life. I don't want it to be changed. Oh, God, I've read this book and now
improved.
I've got to become a fisherman or something. It's just no good. But I think there has to be some slight adapting. The biggest problem, the biggest thing that's put me off getting an electric car is that I only have on-street parking.
Aha.
No driveway, no garage. And running a cable across the pavement is impractical, and someone will fall over and then they'll sue you.
And
or
illegal.
hit you.
Okay,
Yes.
yeah.
This is the thing that has stopped me from buying an electric car already.
Well-
Even if I've got charging points within 200 yards of my house, I still would love to be able to just stick it outside and charge it, and I can't do
Well,
that.
this is the
Is it-
biggest
is it
compromise
something I drive?
I'm thinking I might make, because I discovered something.
You're going to move?
Yes, to a power station, to Drax Power Station in Oxfordshire. All the electricity will be mine.
Oh, really?
No, last year, forgive me for being London-centric if you don't live in London, but we live in London, and this is something that has happened here. Maybe it's happening in other towns as well. The London Fire Brigade permitted, I think it's Chargemaster, to install public electric charging points at something like 75 fire stations across London.
Oh.
And nobody seems to know about this.
Oh, I don't know about that.
And there is a fire station very close to my house, and it has an electric car charging point.
Yeah.
I watched them
your house as well,
installing
Gareth.
it. And I thought, that's nice. The fire chief, whatever he's called, must be getting an electric car, and he's having that installed on.
It's Hugh Pugh, I think.
Yeah,
is
I think it was one of the Barley McGrew
Yeah,
or something. And I just assumed it was for their use only. It's only that I happened to look into this, that in fact it's not. Anyone can use it.
Really?
I walk past very regularly, and I've never seen anyone using it. Not the Firemaster, not Hugh, Barley McGrew, Cuthbert, Dibble, or Grubb, and no members of the public either. That thing is unused, and I'm thinking, well, now wait a minute. It's less than a 5-minute walk from my house, and I would happily, if allowed, leave my theoretical electric car outside the manned fire station all night, because it's probably safer there than it is a lot of places.
Plus, if it catches fire while it's charging,
Well, yeah.
bingo, you know.
And it can happen.
They're-
It can. It probably won't. I'm just saying that.
But
but
what
it
better
can.
place for your car to catch fire than outside the fire station?
Beautiful.
Unless they're already out putting out another fire.
There's no
But
chance of
such
the law.
worries aside, you know,
Yes.
it's a good,
There's no chance of the law being changed where we could install little vertical posts if we paid for the paving slabs to be lifted.
Well,
so we
I've
could-
been looking
I was
into
wondering
this,
about
and
that.
at
Isn't
the
there somewhere you
moment,
can't you just-
there
is
are
there
things
nothing-
supposedly the government gave grants to local authorities to put more charging points in, and you could request one on your street, but it's up to your local authority to have applied for that money. Now, what they have done actually is just put some public charging points into the high street near me. So again, it's like, worst case scenario, that's a short walk away, and I could stick the car on charge there if I needed to. So I'm basically trying to convince myself I can do this. And also, if you get a range extender car, well, you're sort of less panicky about it. But the other reason why I think now is the time to get an electric car, and it sort of goes back to what you were saying about getting people into them, encouraging them, kick-starting the trend to start buying them, because I don't think it's happened yet. Incentives. Yeah. Well, the car makers, a lot of them, have put some money into electric cars now, developing them. In some cases, like BMW, you know, whole bespoke platform, bespoke production process.
Yeah.
They've put a lot of money into that. They want people to start buying them. It's clearly not happening. They are incentivizing you. There are offers going on all the time.
There's even a special limited edition version of the i8, isn't there, which is part of that.
Yeah, there's all sorts of stuff
They've
going
certainly
on.
marketing that
There's,
quite,
I just spoke to someone today. I spoke to a BMW dealer, and he went, "Yeah, we've got an offer going on at the moment. What do you want?" And we will try and make it happen.
And I've got to say, we haven't talked yet about what in particular you're after, but the BMW, in terms of the traditional manufacturers, what BMW have done with their electric car offering, in terms of appeal, desirability, they're on a slightly higher level really to everybody else in terms of the traditional
We'll
manufacturers.
talk about that in a moment, because I want to run through all the electric cars that are available that we're aware of and just make a comparison.
Before we do that, let me just talk to you about the main reason to buy one at the moment.
Yeah, exactly.
Is cheapness. Now, there's two bits of cheapness. I'm thinking I'd get a new one and I would lease it. I don't want to buy it because I don't want to be stuck with a Laserdisc player or a digital cassette player or what have you.
Yep.
Although those old D&D manuals are becoming valuable, you know.
So lease it, because also the other option to get into an electric car at the moment is to buy one second hand, because they depreciate like bilio, which to me suggests at the moment acceptance is not good and no one wants them. So, for example, I started looking at this. You can get a Mitsubishi i-MiEV. The Mitsubishi dealer not far from my house had an i-MiEV for sort of $4,000.
Cute. Really? They were really
And I almost
expensive.
just
They were
thought,
28 grand, weren't they?
I could just go and buy that. I'll just go and buy that. I'll get rid of our Fit 500. Just go and buy that and see if I like electric cars. But I was a bit like, I'm not sure. It might be a bit worn out.
It's
I
not
don't know.
really... It can't be.
Well, exactly. I did, and it's gone now. Someone's bought it, because why wouldn't they? $4,000. I mean, that's not a lot of money for then effectively very cheap motoring.
Yeah. Oh, free motoring, because if you recharge in public places, you don't pay
exactly,
for it.
because you know, like my local Waitrose has got electric car charging points. Again, you can tell I've been thinking about this because I've been working out all the places I could charge. And their Source, which is a London-based, again, sort of electric subsidised thing, I think it's now gone down to £5 for the swipe card.
For a year.
And the electricity is free.
Yeah.
I mean, if you just went and hung out in Waitrose, which I'll tell you what, my local Waitrose have just put a cafe in, you could spend ages in there. And that's fine. And charge up your car for £5 a year. If you're only driving around the town, and I'll be honest, I've looked at it, that Merc we have, I don't think it's been out of London for about 3 or 4 months. And we've had it almost a year and it's done less than 4,000 miles. So,
And you get, with an electric car, no matter how cheap or old-fashioned it is, you just get tremendous levels of refinement.
Yes.
Any electric car is a joy to drive in the city. They're so quiet.
well, exactly. It just seems to make sense, for me personally anyway. And this is why I'm so excited about this. But it's also, I'll be honest, it's also the meanness in me. It's the cheapness, because I'm thinking, either way, it's ludicrous. You know, so
That's what will do it in the end.
Broad figures, you can get a Renault Zoe for about £6,000. You get an IMEV for £4,000 if you want a second-hand one. If you want to go and lease something, the editor of What Car magazine, a man called Jim Holder, popularly known as Noddy in the car industry, lovely chap, and he has just leased a Renault Zoe for £75 down and about £150 a month. And £80 of that is the battery lease thing that Renault do. Yeah. So the actual car is about 70 quid a month.
I wonder if that's the upgraded Zoe. They put a new charger in the Zoe recently, which gave it a comparative performance with the Leaf. Yeah. And I wonder if it's that later version. He was complaining that he was getting sub 50-mile range in cold temperatures.
Yes.
Which
cold knackers them, doesn't it? Well, not knackers them, but it just knackers the range.
Yeah, battery performance does depend on the temperature.
I mean, I remember having my Leaf when I was up in... a Leaf when I was up in Liverpool last December, and it was cold then. It was around about 2 or 3 degrees. And I never recorded anything less than about 85, 90 miles, from what I remember, on a full charge on there. So they work.
So have you kind of narrowed down? Do you know what you want to get, or are you...
but I'm not closing my mind to it. Let's run through the cars in but a moment.
Starting gravity turn.
Elon, darling.
What is it, my wife, the actress Tallulah Riley?
Elon, the mail came earlier and it contained something troubling.
Troubling? What was troubling?
The electricity bill, Elon.
And what was troubling about it?
It was for $8 million.
Oh, damn.
It's that bloody supercharger network of yours.
No, it's not. Maybe you left the immersion heater on again.
Sort it out, Elon, or we'll be getting divorced again.
Right, that's it. I'm going to blow up the moon.
That's your solution to everything, isn't it?
No.
Oh, and by the way, the TiVo didn't record Game of Thrones again.
Oh, blow up the moon.
See?
Sniff Petrol with Gareth Jones on speed!
So, if, like us, you're considering buying, leasing, borrowing, or...
Stealing.
Yes, an electric car. These are the cars that are available at the moment.
Let's take this from the top, because
Yeah, well,
reverse
Well,
the alphabet.
alphabetically.
You're our
No.
buyer. You can.
Well, because you can tell I've thought about this quite a lot recently.
How you're seeing these.
And also, the other thing is, because, I've bought that Defender.
Yeah.
And the idea of having quite a high-tech electric car, or a car that feels like the future, to go with the car that feels like the
That's
past,
basically
is incredibly
a lump
appealing.
by
And it's
comparison.
also, what I've realised is that as car enthusiasts, sometimes you go, I want a car that has ultimate handling, ultimate performance, ultimate something or other. But I think fundamentally we just want cars that are different. There are too many cars that feel the same.
Yes.
And, someone said to me, what's that new Passat like? And I went, I don't know, I haven't driven... Oh, wait, I have. And it's nothing wrong with the new Passat, but I don't want one.
Well, it's like me. I'll always want to drive a car that no one else is driving. That's why I've got a JDM car at the moment. I just want something that you don't see. Because
Yes.
that's what
You want
I
some
think-
character. You
Yeah.
generally want something that has some character, and you tend to want something that somehow in sympathy with some aspect of your character, or you kind of incorporate it into your.
For instance, if you're a Lecky car now, your character is displayed as a tight ass because they're so good value.
Right, so let me just talk you through it, because I have been thinking about this. So first of all, the Volkswagen twins. You've got the Volkswagen e-Golf and the Volkswagen e-Up.
E-Up,
Now, they're
yep.
both perfectly fine cars. I've driven both of them. They're both, I think, too expensive, as a lot of electric cars seem to be. But why I'm not drawn to them is because they're too normal. They are
Yeah,
just like a Golf and
totally
an Up
see
that
that.
happen to run
Yeah.
electric power.
Yep.
There's nothing a bit weird and quirky and interesting about them.
It's not bespoke.
There's
Yeah.
no wow factor. There's nothing that makes you go,
Yeah.
"Oh yeah, that's an interesting little."
Yeah,
It's just
they're perfectly
it's an
good,
electric
but just
Volkswagen.
similarly, well, sort of similarly, the Kia Soul EV, the forgotten electric car of the day, because that's out there. I don't think they sell very many. I don't think they bring many in deliberately because they don't think there's much of a market for it. Again, a bit expensive. I don't know what the lease deals are like on them. I haven't even
Similar
looked.
performance to the Leaf. In fact, better than the Leaf.
The
by
most
about 10
honest
miles,
range
I think.
indicator I've ever tried in any electric car. If anything, it was pessimistic. It just seemed to sort of say, oh, you've got about 80 miles left. And it would just keep saying, you've got 80 miles left. And you go, come on, have I really? And 80 miles later, you go, oh yeah, I did. It's really good, really good. It's got quite a high capacity battery, in fact, that car. They've invested quite a lot in that sort of tech. Anyway, it's very good because the Soul is a little bit of a more unusual family car. But I'm not drawn to it. I'm not drawn to it. And then you've got your Mitsubishi i-MiEV, which is still on sale, weirdly.
It is.
But now here's the thing, because there was a Peugeot Ion and the Citroën C0.
Yes.
And they're all basically the same car, and they were all insanely expensive.
Not just basically the same car, the same car.
The same car, different badge, and that was it. And they were all about 25 grand or so.
28, I think.
Yeah, well, now here's the thing. They're
still
still on sale. Who knew? The Mitsubishi is £28,990, I think. Mm-hmm. Peugeot and Citroën have rather undermined Mitsubishi. Mitsubishi didn't get the facts where PSA told them that they were going to cut the price. The Ion and the C0 are now 11,995.
What?
I know.
Really?
Again, much cheapness. I suspect they've got stocks they need to get shot of, and then that's it. But Mitsubishi's going to carry on, so they're not dropping the price. Everything must go in the great Peugeot Citroën electric car sale, I suspect.
Mitsubishi are still developing electric and hybrid systems because they've got the PHEV, the Outlander PHEV.
Yeah, that's a horrible car.
Oh, yes, of
I
course.
love the idea of it, but it's a horrible car. It's
Very
just...
popular on holiday. You go on holiday... all over Europe.
Really?
PHEVs are camping.
Oh, there's loads around here, though. Have you not? There's certainly around
Yeah.
my neck of the woods. There's loads.
Hey, there are 3 cactus on this street.
No.
Serious. A red
No,
one.
there's a car that should be electric
Dark
because it's
one and a
very
yellow
light
one.
anyway, so you can sort of
Yeah.
offset the battery. But anyway,
Well, there is an electric version of it, I believe. The Mehari that they've done
okay.
is based on that platform, and it's an electric car. So yes, it
maybe
could
it's coming.
retro that. It would make sense.
no,
It
the
looks
FEV. Do
futuristic.
you know what? I reviewed the FEV on Sniff Petrol and said it was basically a lovely idea, but a vile car. And I've never had such a narky response from all these tight who've gone, I've got a FEV and it's absolutely brilliant. It saved me over 47p a mile. And you go, yeah, but it's a horrible car. That's not the point. 47p a mile. And you go, well, if you're that joyless, then enjoy your joyless car, you terrible. So those i-MiEV triplets, no, not those. Then we get into
Nissan Leaf.
Nissan
Haven't we
Leaf.
gone for that yet?
Yeah, the Leaf's all right, isn't it? But
It's got good range.
Yeah,
It's got,
I just find
easy
it
to live with. It's not a car, it's an appliance. Of
Yeah.
all of
Yeah,
them, it's the
it's
one
not
that most
exciting.
resembles an
I
appliance.
agree.
I love the Zoe. The Zoe, I could kiss the Zoe. She's pretty. You've always said it. Pretty cars sell. Good-looking
Yeah.
cars sell. The Leaf is forward-looking, but still a bit special needs. You know what I mean?
The front of it looks like it's being extruded
It's-
from
Yeah.
a tube.
Yeah.
It's,
Yeah,
it's not quite...
it's not elegant. It's got a
I know.
It does the job brilliant.
sort
though.
of
And I know
rough
it should be a
lumpiness to
bit
it.
more than that, but I do. That's the thing. I find the Leaf is actually sort of almost willfully. I sometimes think that with these sort of ecologically minded cars, that they almost, perhaps this is part of their appeal for some people. It's like
Well,
a hair shirt. Look how I'm suffering for my care for the planet by my disgusting looking car.
And I think this was certainly the case with the G-Wiz, that part of the appeal for some people, although to us it just looks horrible, I think a lot of people that liked the G-Wiz liked the fact that it had these very, very oddball non-car looks, and it was
Yeah.
a world away from the kind of sleek, beautiful, gas-guzzling sports car that we might find very appealing. So they're making it very different.
Yeah, it's the anti-car,
And
isn't it? Do you notice, I think, how G-Wizzes have sort of disappeared off our roads in the last 2 years? Because certainly around my neck of the woods in North London, sort of
certainly
then Hampstead
seen a lot-
and
yeah,
Highgate,
right,
the sort of well-to-do areas, a lot of G-Wizzes because there were a lot of well-meaning, quite middle-class, wealthy people who just wanted to make a point, which was, look how much I care. But now they've gone, oh, brilliant, I can have a proper car that's electric. I can throw that glass fibre awfulness in the bin.
Or somebody tripped over their G-Wiz and broke it. That's also quite
Or it
possible.
caught fire and they hadn't had the presence of mind to plug it in at a fire station.
Yes.
So, Richard, in your choice of electric cars, there are 3 in mind, and I think I know the one that you're going to come to last, so I'm going to mention the other 2 first. You're not considering a Tesla because they're too expensive.
Yeah, they are. They're the exception to the rule.
Lovely but expensive.
Every other electric car I think you can get deals on at the moment. Although their list prices may seem high, when you go in and look at how much it would cost you to lease one for 2 years, which I think is the smart way to do it, because the lease cost, by the maths I've done on some of the offers, is way lower than depreciation would be. So it's a no-brainer. And then you get to give it back rather than getting stuck with your Betamax player. I know, technically superior. But anyway. And so I think that's the way to do it, yes.
So not the Tesla. They're about 50 grand for a second-hand
Yeah,
one.
and there's not. It's just too much.
Great, though.
Yeah,
Really
I
great.
I haven't tried one, but I rattled past the superchargers in my diesel Land Rover today at Oxford Services, and I thought, how good.
It's the
and I
future.
thought of you not knowing they were around the corner, because they are around the corner.
Yeah,
aren't they?
yeah.
I don't know why they've done that.
There's
There should be a big sign.
It's like being in the business lounge. It's amazing.
Well, it is, isn't it? Because all the normal electric car points are outside the front door, and there's usually some idiot in an Audi that's not electric who's parked diagonally across them.
Yeah.
But here's the business lounge is round the corner.
Yeah, around the corner, and there's a bunch of really smug people who are really enjoying
Just
this
one
amazing
smug
car.
person today.
Yeah,
I noticed. Yeah.
And I don't blame them for being smug. That actually
No,
works
it looks. I
really
think it
well.
does. You go, oh, how civilised it is around here.
But
Nice
there's
and
2
quiet.
other cars remaining.
Yes.
And I bet it's not the electric version of the Ford Focus, which you can buy. Do you know what it's called? You know what Ford called the electric version of the Focus?
The Ford Focus Electric?
Correct.
Can you actually buy that?
31 grand, I just looked on the Ford website.
Wow. But is it out yet then? Because I don't think I've ever
Doesn't look
seen
like
one.
pre-order to me, I don't know.
They've
exactly.
literally never mentioned it.
No.
I'd read that it was coming, but I certainly haven't.
There are, in fact, 2 left. I didn't know about the Ford Focus Electric, and I'm not sure I'm interested because that is still too much like a normal car.
It's way too much like a
So,
normal car.
Renault Zoe, I know I mentioned it before, if you can get a Jim Noddy Holder-style lease deal, and apparently he's been having people coming at him and going, where'd you get that from? And he's told them it's just like Bristol Street Motors in Derby, I think, and they've honoured the same deal for other people. So that deal is out there. I think that's an absurdly cheap piece of motoring if you're getting the free electricity compared to an internal combustion engine car of any sort, really.
She's so pretty, I kiss
And
her.
so I sort of think, ooh, much cheapness, could do that. The Renault Zoe is the only electric car, because as you'd imagine, because I think electric car motoring is rather like a sort of cult at the moment, and there are a lot of websites devoted to it, a lot of forums, people discussing stuff. Good, because you get a good source of ready, honest information from the real world. And the Zoe is the only electric car I've found of the current generation that seems to have quite a lot of problems with it.
Wow.
Charging
That's
problems.
a shame.
People on Twitter have been talking to me about, I think there's one guy who's on his second because the first one was so useless and didn't work
So
properly.
not the infrastructure, but the car itself. Actually, I
Yeah.
do know someone who's had problems with this.
Really?
Yeah, who
Interesting,
works
isn't
in
it?
the industry as well, bizarrely. He's still a big advocate of the electric car. I think he's saving up to buy a Tesla. now.
Really?
He's got the smell of it, but he's had issues. Yeah.
Do you know, as a sub thing, actually, it's not pure electric, but it's a car we featured on the show a while ago, Vauxhall Ampera.
Yeah. They've
Those-
stopped production of them?
Yeah, and now there is a new Chevrolet Volt in the US. I saw some while I was over there. Lovely looking car, quite reminiscent of the old shape Honda Civic.
Yeah.
Very down nose, pointy nose.
Yeah.
But dynamic looking, interesting thing, much nicer looking than the first generation. Not coming here. We're going to get the Chevy Bolt, which is the pure electric car with the 200-mile range. So that's quite a nice looking thing, but it's not coming here till next year, and it'll be called the Ampera E, I think. So, not that. So, electric car choices, that leaves me with the BMW i3.
I was-
Knew you were
yeah.
going to say that.
Front-running choice. And
An excellent choice, sir.
for 2 reasons. First of all, again, we come back to much cheapness. There are deals going. I mean, they're not giving it away in a sort of 75 quid Zoe kind of way, but it's not
But
bad.
can you lease it for reasonable?
Yes, I've been fishing around.
How
and
much? Can you tell us?
the best that I've found so far is if you're a business user. So I think if you're VAT registered, you might be able to do this. You could get one for £189 a month. And you have to
Right.
put about £1,500 down.
Right.
Now, that's not catastrophic.
It's not
when
catastrophic.
you're getting, and you look at what that car comes with as standard.
it's a lot-
it gets
it's-
nav,
it's a neat
climate
little
control. You're getting a carbon fibre bodied, electrically powered car of the future.
Yep. It has a character to it that, for all their other qualities, the Leaf and the Zoe just don't have.
It
It's got
feels
real-
genuinely like something different and something special.
Yeah.
You can tell when the car is good value because rental companies have got them. Have you noticed all these car clubs in London at the moment? Ford
Yeah,
Drive or whatever they're called.
Zipcar and
Zipcar,
yeah.
They're all i3s.
Really?
There are loads of i3s. They're being
really?
swallowed up by those people. Yeah, Drive. Is that the one I'm thinking of? They're all i3s.
Okay.
So there's
I'm
deals to
surprised
be
about
had.
that because I thought they would be sort of like, oh God, everyone's just going to borrow them and run them out of electricity and then leave them. And it's-
This is a total guess, but it's probably easier for them to remote monitor whether a car is charged up or not charged up or needs topping
yeah,
up.
well, you get the app with all of them. The Leaf has
Okay,
an app,
there you
and
go.
the i3 has an app, definitely, and the Golf has one.
I'm still aware of the charging status of that Nissan Leaf I had 12 months ago because I've still got the app on the phone that's registered to it, and the Tesla I drove the other month as
Yes,
well.
I found that with the e
I know where it is.
And I was like, I could just turn the lights on if I wanted to,
Yeah.
even though I now know it's in Milton Keynes. I didn't, because I thought it seemed a bit silly and they might find out it was me and tell me off. So I'm genuinely trying to work
Go for
out
the
how to do
i3.
this.
Do
Do you
it.
know, there are two things. First of all, I think I get the range extender because I'm a bit of a coward, and I think it's that good thing.
Yeah, the
Peace of
range
mind in
extender is
your
a
back
good,
pocket.
smart. Yeah, I like the range extender.
And the only other barrier to entry is trying to find the best deal and to make it sort of make financial sense. The third barrier actually is my wife, because I think she's less convinced than me, but she will drive it more than me, and so
She'll
it's
love
sort of. I think she will. I'm going
And
to try and get
the
her in one. Do you know how the other?
carriage
Yeah,
store where you
test
Yeah,
drive.
that's
Test
another bit.
drive,
So I need
come
to.
on.
Well, so here's how keen they are. I emailed a company, BMW garage, who who were doing some deals on them, they rang me this morning, very keen to talk deals, very keen indeed, and a car built to order as well, because I was like, they only got stock they need to get rid of. No. They build me a car to my spec, still quite a decent price, and if I go back to them, I think they might be able to beat their own price. But better than that, you can tell they're keen. They went, have you driven one? I said, I have. They said, do you want to drive one again? Because we can send one over for the weekend if you like. So when do car dealers ever do that?
Wow.
Short of getting on his knees, this man so desperately wanted me to have a BMW i3, and I think I desperately want one. So
I think this is going to happen.
I don't know.
I can feel this is this.
Watch this space, but I'm keen. I'm keen to give it a go. I'm keen to see if electric motoring can actually be made to work for 2 years, 3 years, whatever.
Watch this space.
Can promise you it won't. Go on, ask me why.
Oh, don't spoil it.
Because you'll have to rename your site Sniff Electrons.
Sniff Ozone.
Good morning, sir. How can I help you? I'd like to buy this eco car here, please. Eco car? Yeah, this eco car. This one here. This is a SsangYong Rexton, sir. I don't care what it's called, just tell me how long it takes to charge. About 3 or 4 minutes. Excellent. And what sort of charging plug does it use? It uses a petrol pump. A petrol pump? What sort of ridiculous machine would use one of those? One that ran on petrol? Petrol? What are you talking about? This is an eco car. Not really, sir. But it must be. Why would you say that, sir? Well, just look at it. It's disgusting. Ah, I see. A common misconception. I'm afraid it's simply disgusting to look at because it's a SsangYong. So you don't do eco cars? I'm afraid not, sir, but SsangYong can aid weight loss. Oh yeah? How'd you do that? Here, have a look at this photograph of the SsangYong Turismo.
Oh yeah, I see what you mean.
Gareth Jones on speed.
You can't talk about electric cars in isolation. That's a little electrical joke for you there.
Good, yes.
No, it wasn't intended to be one until it came out. Because electric cars are only part of the story. It all really depends on the infrastructure that you can plug into if you can't charge at home, which many of us can't. Tesla have their own sort of... It's a bit like, AOL or CompuServe for the internet. It's their own part of the electric network, isn't it? It's not quite integrated with everybody else, and you're buying into a club. You mentioned a cult earlier on. I was in the cult of Tesla. That's what I called those programs. So you have to rely on the public charging.
Oh, sorry,
network.
that just reminded me of something else. I was saying there's loads of forums and things for electric cars, and you delve deeper and there's sort of separate. So I was reading the i3 forums. I got the feeling that the pure electric i3 owners look down on the range extender because they're quitters, they're cheaters, they're not doing it properly.
Okay,
and
I can see
the
that.
the i3 range extender has a flap at the back where a normal petrol flap is. That's your electricity connector.
Yeah.
But then on the front wing, there's the actual petrol cap where you fill up the tiny tank.
It is tiny as
Scooter
well.
engine,
The range
it's
is
like
only
8 or 9 litres or something. Yeah, it's really small. Apparently, in i3 purist circles, that's known as the flap of shame.
Oh, I like that. And now I like the i3 even more.
Sorry, go on.
Yeah, your infrastructure has got to work. I've had experience of it failing, but in the 12 months between my first experience with it and my most recent one, I didn't just use the Tesla network, I plugged into the other public charging systems, and they've come a long way.
It seems to me that the problem with the infrastructure for electric cars, it's simply that there isn't enough of it. We just need more of it. It's not reliability, because we've all come across a broken down petrol pump from time to time, and that's what you had on that occasion.
Yeah, more than that, today I was up in the Midlands, popped in to see my dad near Stratford, and then I was heading back towards the M40. I thought I'll go cross country to Gaydon because
some Jaguar.
Because first of all I was in my Defender, and there is nothing nice. It was a beautiful afternoon, and there was nothing finer than on a clear, crisp winter's sunny afternoon, driving across the British countryside in a Defender. It feels at home on the sort of loping A and B roads.
Did you have a shotgun and a flat cap?
I wish I had done. I could have taken a shot as I drove by, but I just a countryside drive-by.
I'd have a couple of pheasants.
Just winged him.
You're reminding me of a video which I'm going to have to dig out for you guys. Anyway, but yes.
What? That?
Really strictly, somebody shooting clay pigeons from the back of a 911.
Okay, go search that on YouTube. Well, I haven't seen that yet. You'll be ahead of us.
Anyway, it's fun.
Yeah.
So I went cross-country. Now, the reason I was going to
Gaydon
Gaydon is because, for those of you who know it, at the roundabout by Gaydon, quite near to where Jag Land Rover and Aston are, where you go down to the M40, which was my ultimate destination to get back to London, there's an Esso petrol station. One of my favourite petrol stations because it's got a coffee shop, they have a little thing that does hot sausage rolls, and it's got a loo. So rather than use Warwick services off the M40, if I'm on the M40 and I need any of these things, particularly a hot sausage roll, I'll go to Gaydon petrol station because I find it more pleasant. And it's only just off the motorway, so it's not further to go than driving into the awful services and having to go around the car park. So I thought I'll cut cross-country to Gaydon. It's only a few miles. I'll get some diesel because I'm running low, and a coffee, not a hot sausage roll because I've just been in America and I've eaten my own body weight in everything, and maybe a wee in their lovely loo, and that's it, and I'll be on my way.
You like a wee, don't you?
I love a wee.
He loves a wee.
And so they're rebuilding all of that motorway junction because there's such bad traffic of everybody trying to get into Jaguar Land Rover's massively expanded engineering centre. Apparently in the morning it takes people like half an hour to get in, maybe more.
I had a car like that once.
So they're totally... Where are we going with this? Anyway, in the course of expanding this junction and all the roads around it, they appear to have knocked down my favourite petrol station.
No!
I know.
No way.
So I just had to go straight onto the motorway. No diesel for me, never mind a wee. And I was thinking...
Diesel.
Well, that's a bit annoying. I was banking on getting some diesel. It's fine. I've got just below a quarter of a tank. It was really just because I was going to do a kind of top-up so I didn't have to come off the motorway.
So you can't get diesel sometimes.
Well, so this is the thing. It gets worse.
Oh.
Went into Oxford Services. The reason I saw the Tesla superchargers is because actually I forgot to go to the petrol station. I inadvertently turned into the services themselves and then went, oh wait, I don't need this. I just need diesel. Looped round by the back business class chargers, round to the petrol station. There's two people in high-vis vests and a row of cones, and they're standing there with their arms folded, shaking their heads. Whole petrol station is shut.
Wow.
Now that one at Oxford Services, which is massive, and it's all closed off for reasons I didn't bother to stop and ask why. Well, now the fuel lights come on.
So now you're getting a little bit anxious.
Oh, you've got range anxiety in and on electric
This is
car.
ridiculous. So I suppose my point is that although you can have trouble charging up an electric car, and if it runs out, you can't buy a can of electricity, so that is obviously a moot point. But let's not kid ourselves that sometimes you struggle to find a petrol station that is open or working or whatever. That we've all been there where
It
you're
is
sort of
possible
going,
to
oh
run
God,
out of
I
actual-
thought there was a
yeah.
petrol station here in this town I've only been to twice before, but they've closed it down and built flats on it.
Inner city petrol stations are a thing of the past.
Yes.
I have lost count of the number of petrol stations within 3 miles of this place that just are not there anymore.
One's
There's only
just
one.
gone near me.
Oh,
And
I'm
it's-
down to one. There used to be a half a dozen. It's crazy.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the end of petrol, the end of diesel, start electric car.
Well, I mean, as far as the petrol stations go, as I understand it, it's just really hard to make money out of being a petrol station.
Yeah.
And you would think that with people coming in all day buying relatively expensive fuel, you would be able to make money fairly easily. But apparently it's just not. It's very hard to make money if you're...
Because the very expensive fuel, a great chunk of it is tax.
yeah, absolutely. And very, very little of it is going to the petrol station operator. Yeah.
My parents used to vaguely know some people who owned a petrol station, and they said one of the biggest problems, because you're right, they were struggling to make money, and this was like in the 80s, they said it wasn't a very profitable business because of the amount that you actually got off each gallon of petrol as it was then. They were a BP station, and BP were constantly going, oh no, you need to put up a new sign, no, you need to move this around, no, you need to repave your forecourt. It's like they had very strict corporate standards.
Like a franchise.
And they just constantly imposed new rules on them, and it was like, oh god, it's going to cost us another $5,000 just to have a different sign put up, and so on.
So BP made lots of money, but the people who ran the franchises for them didn't. Yeah,
and then they threw it all into the sea off America and lost it all again.
But this infrastructure thing, obviously it's going to get better, and it's easier to make it better, I think, than it is for the infrastructure of a hydrocarbon fuel economy, if you want to put it that way. Because if you want to improve your distribution of hydrocarbon fuels, because we care enough about safety, we don't allow people to sell cans of petrol in corner shops. We have proper petrol stations we have to go to fill up. Now, it's much easier to just stick an electric car charging point on a street corner, in a pub car park. You can dot them all over the place and you can integrate them with your main electric grid. It's a very different thing to building up a hydrocarbon fuel distribution system.
I can back up what you're saying there, Z. I was in Finland recently, in the Arctic Circle in Finnish Lapland, and I saw Teslas out there. And I think driving an electric car in permanently sub-zero temperatures can have an effect on your performance. What about the infrastructure? How are they going to do it? And I went to the local supermarket, and there they had electric car charging points. Not just the electric points for heating up your car while you leave it in the cold, but they had proper chargers that put a charge into your car at something like a 30 kilowatt hour rate. Where was this car charging point? Not mounted on ground level, but literally halfway up a building with a set of steps. So when the snow comes, you can still get to the charging point. I swear it must have been 10 foot high, these little steps. And if they can do it in Finland and make it work, we could do it here. Electric cars are coming.
Well, as a final thought on that infrastructure thing, I just think with petrol stations closing, which is happening, trying to refuel an internal combustion engine car is only going to get harder. And it feels to me like right now, trying to fuel an electric car is only going to get easier. And that for me is part of the attraction.
We're waiting for the crossover point on the graph.
Yeah. Now, I came across an entirely different approach to the zero carbon transport the other day, which was, I have to say, spectacularly less smart than any of the options we've been talking about so far. I came across this thing called the BikeBus. I was driving through central London, and I found myself suddenly having to drive very, very slowly, just a couple of vehicles behind this very slow-moving thing that turned out to be, with a little bit of squinting, a bike bus. Imagine a sort of a Heath Robinson-esque device. You've got a frame, a road-going four-wheel chassis, about the size of a small van, with several rows of inward-facing exercise bikes on the back.
Inward-facing exercise?
You've basically got space for about, 10 or 12 people maybe to sit on static bicycles on the flat back of, like I say, a sort of a small flatbed truck.
Get the heck out of here.
And your passengers are pedalling like crazy, and the thing is
while
moving...
you sit at the front going,
no.
Boom.
While you sit 50 yards back going, what the is this? I mean, it's combining all of the worst attributes of a large, stupid petrol engine vehicle with an elderly person on a bicycle. It's moving so slowly, and the best thing you can say about it is that it reminds you of a Heath Robinson cartoon. That's the best thing. I now have a foot firmly in the cyclist camp. I love a good bicycle. Yeah. A bicycle is a fine form of transport. But one of the great things about it is that you're light and nimble and small. They've managed to find a way of taking human cycle-type power and make it big enough to block a road and ensures that it's slow enough. There's nothing else slow on the road. It's a horrible, horrible, stupid thing.
He's Zog.
Goodbye.
He's seen the future.
And it doesn't
terrifying.
Work.
It doesn't work.
That part of it doesn't work.
He's Richard. You've seen the future, and it could well be electric.
Well, no, I'm going to lease a bike bus now. The people extra.
And I'm Gareth, and I'm from the future. See ya.
To send us an email, see pictures, get song lyrics, join our Facebook fan site, follow us on Twitter, or to find out about sponsorship opportunities, go to garethjones.tv. Gareth Jones on Speed is made in London by Whiz Bang.
Gareth Jones on Speed!